these are all of my bone dry pieces that I'm going to put in there, ready to take upstairs.
Hello everyone, it's been a hot minute since I've done a studio vlog, but I thought I'd bring you along for the process of loading up my first bisque firing. Huge thank you to Alice, who is the lovely person letting me use their kiln. I'll put all of her links down in the description below if you're interested in checking out her pottery and stuff. But this is just a quick little time lapse of me loading up my pieces ready for the bisque fire. I was a little bit nervous as this was the first time using her kiln, but it was all fine in the end, and I was using some of the things I'd learnt at my full-time job to be able to do this the most efficiently. And here it is. This is the top layer. I definitely think I could have loaded it a little bit more, but this is all I had at the time. And I set it off and it was ready to go. Now, most firings will take at least a day. So whilst it was firing, I was throwing even more things. I made some bowls, some bases for mugs, and then I attached some handles to the mugs the next day. And then the firing was done after, I think it was about a day and a half before they were all cooled, so I put them in my box and took them back down to the studio. Now, something really exciting has happened. Since I've been stocked in Giddy Arts in Saltaire, I've decided that I would take the leap and start trying to get stocked in more places. So this is me packing up some stuff ready to be stocked at Dotty Poppy Collective, which is in Affleck's in Manchester. Now, they wanted some prints, some of my greetings cards to start with, and I thought they could be relatively easy to post down to Manchester, seeing as I wouldn't be able to make it there in person myself in time for the opening. So please enjoy a little time lapse of me cutting out some of the grey board backing card, packaging up some of my recycled paper prints. I decided to go for the ones that are sort of the most popular, some of the best sellers that I have currently from my markets and my former Etsy shop, which is now closed. I am working on my own website shop, as I thought it was sort of the fees were getting too high with Etsy, but I'll talk a bit about that later in this video. Now, getting stocked in various different shops is sort of a new thing for me. I've never done it before this year, with the exception of some of my ceramic mushrooms being stocked at the Millennium Gallery in Sheffield, Christmas 2024. So this is a relatively new endeavour, so I made sure to keep tabs on everything I was packing up and the prices that I would be charging for each item, as well as adding on the commission rate, of course, which most shops have. So because this is quite a new endeavour to me, I'm still trying to sort of get my head around how to price things, how to post things, what products people are going to like. It's all about sort of testing which different shops and what customers like in each one of those, because it can obviously vary depending on location and things like that. So this is exciting for me. It's a very exciting time, and it's going to really help, especially when I'm not able to sort of make a huge amount of direct sales from in-person markets and events and things like that. It's more of a passive sort of income, so that has been really cool to get started in, and I'm definitely going to keep up with all of my stockists and keep restocking and finding new places to take my work, because it's been such a joy, honestly, and it means that when I'm working full time, I don't have to worry quite so much about how on earth I'm gonna afford to keep all of my things going and my studio rent, etc.
Okay, boxes all packaged up, ready to be posted. I'm gonna go drop this off at the post box now.
I'm so sorry for the quality of this video, by the way, of me posting the box. It was quite an awkward size and shape, but anyway, there it goes, off to Affleck's in Manchester. The next day I spent some time taking product photos, updating my website shop, which is going to be live very soon. I'll keep you guys in the loop for that. But yeah, for now I'm just going to wait until I get all of my ceramic pieces glazed and fired. Now, if you know anything about sort of being a ceramic artist or working in a ceramic studio, you'll know that recycling clay is a really, really important part of being a ceramic artist. It can save you a huge amount of money on clay, and obviously it's more environmentally friendly because you're not throwing out loads of clay that you have discarded or it's not going down the drain, etc. So this is me just balling up some of my recycled clay that I dried out on the plaster mat. I'm not going to be balling it up on this table again because it is so wobbly. I was really worried that I was going to break it. But anyway, this is me just trying to get back into the hang of balling up. Now, I am by no means an expert in this process. I learn a lot from watching other people on TikTok and YouTube, and my technique is not great right now, but I'm getting there, and I know that just practicing the process will help me improve for sure. And then with the balled up recycled clay, I thought I'd spend some time doing some more throwing again. So enjoy this little time-lapse video of me throwing. I think it's really interesting to watch back how you throw, because you can kind of notice things that you're doing or little things you can improve on for next time. And yeah, it helps you really improve. So I think in this video I'm making some more mug bases, I believe. I think at this point in time I hadn't been throwing in a little while, so I did think I was a little rough. I'm posing for the camera, oh my gosh. Yeah, so I kind of didn't measure out any of the balls of clay I was using. I just sort of went by eye, different kind of sizes, and tried to get back into the swing of throwing, because if you don't keep practicing, at least what I find is that I can kind of almost forget how to throw. I think this day was pretty rough in general for throwing. I was making quite a lot of mistakes and having to trim the top off quite frequently just to kind of like even everything out again, and make it a sort of usable piece, which yeah, didn't go great. I mean, my goodness, this kind of reduced down to a tiny thing. I was not happy with it, so I said I'm gonna start over again and see if I can make anything better this time. I've been thinking a lot about sort of the future of my work and my studio, etc. I've been looking into some sort of better pottery wheels, particularly the Shimpo wheels. If you're a potter or you have done pottery before, you'll know that Shimpo wheels are amazing, and it's like a big dream of mine to eventually get one of those, but they can be up to, or even way more than £1,000. I think the cheapest one that they do is £1,000, so that's a long way off, but it is, I guess, something to kind of look forward to and aspire to be able to have, especially if I keep working on throwing, getting better. I mean, this video, I just was not having a great day. Really was not having a great day. But I think it's important to show you guys the bad days as well, because, you know, not everyone's perfect, and I am still kind of learning and teaching myself how to throw, so I need to be kind to myself. Because a lot of pottery is practice. The majority of learning is sort of giving it a go, feeling what's going wrong, adjusting based on how the clay feels in your hands, and almost teaching yourself ways to kind of get things back on track if they go wobbly, for example. You'll see in a minute I start to get very frustrated with myself. I was not having a good day. I was feeling quite upset that I couldn't remember what I was doing, so I ripped it off, had a bit of a moment, but reassured myself that it is going to take time to learn, and it's obviously not a linear process, it's pottery whatsoever, but the good thing is you can just take your clay, recycle it, and start over again, because it's not permanent until it's been fired. So I guess that's the beautiful thing. I did kind of almost give up at this point. was so mad with the world and myself, with everything. So I just decided to stop, and yeah, here's me cleaning up the wheel. I usually clean up majority of it with the throwing water I've just used, and then I switched to some clean water.
These are the only 2 bowls I managed to make today, sadly. But everything else is drying out. I'm very happy with these mug trials. Hopefully they will be okay. I'm also sort of in the middle of glazing all of these bisque pieces. I've got so many to do. I just haven't had as much time recently. But yeah, these are a mix of the indigo float and also lustrous jade, which are 2 of my favorite glazes in the world. So I'm very excited to see how those come out.
A couple of days later, I sat down and started to make a dent in my glaze samples, so these are the ones that we'll go through first, just to see how the glazes react in Alice's kiln, and then I got to work glazing the large amount of items from my first bisque. I think I was using lustrous jade again in this video. It is one of my favourite glazes in the whole world. I just love the green colours that come through, and it can kind of be a bit unexpected on different clay bodies. So like a speckled body, it would be very different, and on like a black glazed body as well, it would be very, very, very cool. The good thing about glazing is that if you do go on a part that you don't want it to be glazed, you can just wipe it off with a damp sponge. So in that respect, nothing is permanent again. A bit like with the bisque fire, until you've fired it in the glaze firing. Now I'm holding off a little bit to open up my website shop after closing down my Etsy store, just while I get all of these pieces glazed and fired as well. So please stay tuned for that. I will be adding all of these pieces with my shop launch. So if you are interested in getting a bespoke ceramic piece, whether that's homeware, more decorative kind of mushroom, I also make trinket dishes as well. So yeah, please stay tuned for that. I will make sure that I talk about it in my next vlog when everything is live. I'd also love to hear what kind of things you guys enjoy watching in terms of content. I'm aware that quite a lot of this video in particular and a couple of my other studio vlogs had been sort of sped up time lapses of me doing various different things. But yeah, I'd love to hear from you what kind of content you would enjoy. And boom, more packing up of print. This time it is for the lovely people actually upstairs from my studio. Gaff, it is a lovely cafe that is sort of attached to the studios here, and I was making some stock for them, which is really awesome. And then it was time to finally, well, even though I'm struggling to open the actual container, start thinking about my screens. So this was the first time prepping the emulsion in the studio. You kind of have your UV sensitive chemical, forgive me, I don't remember the name of it, that you add to your emulsion base to make it sort of like UV sensitive. So you have to give it a really good mix up so that it is completely combined, and it almost turns a sort of turquoisey colour, even though it starts off as the blue after you add in the light sensitive chemical. And then you do actually have to let this sit for a little bit for all of the bubbles to come out. It's such an interesting process is screen printing. There's a huge amount of trial and error when it comes to it. This is me just popping the bubbles before I eventually decide that I am going to let it sit for overnight. So I came back the next day when it had all settled and the emulsion was ready to use, poured it out into my coating trough, and then it was time to coat my first ever screen. I think it went quite well. You usually just do one swipe, you can do another one, but because this is fabric, I only did one swipe. And then it was time for a bit more glazing. I made a little lobster underglaze on a plate. Pencil actually burns off in the kilns when you do your sketches, so I was keen to kind of make sure that this looked like a good lobster. pretty accurate lobster before coating it in a transparent glaze, and then it was sort of ready to be fired after this point. I really hope that this one comes out well. I'm definitely keen to do more kind of illustrations on my ceramics instead of just plain colours. And this is the shelf ready to be fired, and I really appreciate all you guys. Thank you for watching this studio vlog. Bye!